And it is my pleasure to introduce Andres Mora. Andres Mora is a very well-recognized robotics engineer at NASA Ames Research Center, located near San Francisco, California. One of his most recent successes was the Astro B program. Andres has worked on several other interesting projects, including helping develop the Mars helicopter, which is currently on its way to Mars. Andres has worked at 3 NASA centers: Ames, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Johnson Space Center. He did an internship with Dr. Franklin Chan at Astra Rocket Company and completed his PhD work in Japan. So without further ado, please welcome our special guest, Andres Mora. Andres, the floor is yours.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for taking a little bit of your morning to share with me. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you and having a conversation. Hopefully, you will find this uplifting and motivating enough so that we can talk about how you guys are going to be the next rocket scientists of Costa Rica or whatever profession you will be like to follow. All right, let me start by sharing my screen. So just give me 1 second. Let's see if I can share this. Okay, let me know when you can see it.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, great, fantastic. So my talk today is less technical and more personal. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the journey, all the issues that I always had and I keep having and I will always have, just like every single one of us. I think that when we are together, we are able to bring the best of all of us. And I think that with that, we're going to make this world a little bit better. And that's why I will always like to call this Together We're Better, because when we put our work and efforts, we have a great time and have fun and also make a huge change in our lives and everybody else's. So together we're better, but how did this whole story start? Well, let's say that 13.8, let me start just by saying that 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang happened. And so I'm going to start talking to that point. No, not kidding. I'm just going to skip ahead and just go straight into 1980s. I was born. Life was great. I was born in Costa Rica, born and raised, as they say. Did my, what is this? High school, primary school, all of that. University, undergrad over in Costa Rica. And by 2001, well, actually 2000, the year 2000, I got to meet my personal hero, Dr. Franklin Chan, and he was kind enough to let me go and meet him at his lab, as I was part of an an internship? No, not an internship, an exchange program from my university with some students in University of Houston. As I was there, I said, well, I got to take this opportunity by the horns and basically go, hey, I need to reach out to them. And so back in the day, and using the world's 2000 internet, I was able to reach out to his lab and was able to get that meeting, got to go to his lab at the Advanced Space Propulsion Lab. And then after that, I was completely struck, right? I was absolutely, oh my gosh, I'm meeting my, cannot believe this, I'm meeting my personal hero. And after a very nice tour that he gave me of the facilities, we talked a little bit, and he actually, after I asked if he could help me, guide me with a couple of ideas or tips on how to get accepted for a grad school in the US, he said that he could give me an opportunity to be a part of his internship program. And I was like, wow, blown away. And so, of course, that motivated me to go even further and work harder during my last year of university. And so, once I graduated from university, I had the opportunity to go to his lab, and I did that. And then, back in 2002, I came back to Costa Rica, and in 2003, I obtained a uh, scholarship to go to Japan. And with this scholarship, I was able to pursue my master's and PhD in aerospace engineering with a focus on with a focus on planetary robotics, basically mobile robotics for exploring other planets or extreme environments, as we say. Um, and then after 20, I did one or two things between then, and I ended up coming back in 2011 to the US. And since then, I started working in different points of research. And I also worked at Arizona State University at the School of Earth and Space Exploration. And after that, I was lucky enough to grab another opportunity and finally work at Ames Research Center where I am. So I just want to talk about, it sounds, I just gave a very super condensed story that what I've done until now. Just want to focus on a couple of points that I think that are interesting in terms of thinking, well, this person has done this and that, but of course everything was laid out beautifully for him, and it wasn't really. So I just want to give a couple of stories about emissions, muchos, unemployment, and keep going. First of all, from the sun to the ground. This story is basically how I went to the sun. I call it like that because, as you know, plasma is super hot, so it's as hot as the sun. And I was working with Dr. Franklin Chandias at his lab, working on several uh, automation systems that would facilitate scientists to measure their plasma parameters and other points of interest during the firing of the variable impulse magnetoplasma rocket, the Raspberry. Life was great. I was 21 years old and I was at the top. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is the best I can ever be. And then I came back to Costa Rica and I was very excited because I was going to do a great number of things. And then I was unemployed. I was unemployed for several months and I was extremely not happy, let's put it in modern way. And it was hard, of course. It was very difficult. And finally, I got the opportunity to work at a company, and this company actually gave me the chance to, go get back on my feet. And as I was doing that simultaneously during my time at the Advanced Space Propulsion Lab with Dr. Chen Lias, I was able to meet a number of people, and one of them was um, a roboticist who introduced me to my professor in Japan. So I took that lead, and while I was in Costa Rica, I started applying for the Japanese scholarship. And at the same time, I also started studying Japanese. And at the same time, I started working on my master's at University of Costa Rica. And so I was doing all of these things because I was thinking that I cannot all put my eggs in one single basket, right? I need to diversify. I need to make sure that I want to do many things. And so thanks to that humble experience of, being all up in the sky, doing the best things at such an early age in my life, I thought, well, and then coming down to basically, okay, well, that's great, but this is reality. I started to, be more humble and actually understand that you have to work harder for a number of other opportunities to come up. And soon enough, that opportunity came up, and that was in the form of the full scholarship I get from the uh, Ministry of Science and Technology, Education and Sports from Japan. And only in that first year, I started working as a research, or as they call it, as a researcher student. And it was interesting because it was a really good time. I started to, of course, be super excited being in another country again and learning from a completely new, different culture. And one of those differences came fairly early on. Well, all of them came very early on, but one of the most striking ones were when back in, so I arrived in 2003 in April in Japan, but in December I started to have what is called an appendicitis, which in Japanese you can call it mochoen, which is appendicitis, inflammation of your appendix. That's why I call this mocho. And so I had that, and you would think, this is a simple, surgical matter. You will go in, and then they'll take care of it. It was an extraordinary pain that I had and experienced. And to my surprise, when I got there, they did not put me under the knife. They just served me into uh, antibiotics to control the inflammation and the issues that I was having. But they did not give me painkillers, so I was under observation for a couple of days and all of that. So all of this is to say that um, it was an interesting experience because after all of that, my inflammation went down and all went down and I was okay. But then they sent me back home with my appendix still on. And I remember clearly how a friend who was doing his PhD at the hospital told me, "Well, look, you have been, part of this, and you've been under this problem right now, and so you will have it the next, for sure, you will have it." And and sure enough, I did. And in January of next year, I again had it, middle of January, late January. And about this time around, I had to go again, had to get my emergency, and then send me back again with the paracetamol, only some paracetamol. And I was like, what is going on? And once again, went back that same night, and I said, look, I need you to take care of me because otherwise I'm not going to have it. So, they did the surgery, they did all that. It was the surgery in itself, it was a little bit crazy as well. Other experience I might tell you later. But what I want to say with this is that all of this was happening as I had to prepare for my qualification exams to enter my master's and PhD program. And as this was happening, a lot of people might have said, okay, well, I cannot do this. And the only thing I had was to work hard to make it happen and to take my tests and go. And so only a couple of weeks after my surgery, I have to take the tests. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to pass this one time. Um, and and even though I plead to the committee, hey, I just came out of that surgery, and they just said to me, well, hey, we're giving you the same opportunity that every other student is getting. So they're just being fair with me, and that was something that really shocked me because back in Costa Rica we have this mentality where we say, well, poor little me or whatever, right? And so here they just shook me and said, look, we don't, it's not we don't care, it's that we just get, having a playing field. This is fair for you, this is fair for everyone. And it was something that really struck me and definitely helped me to be even more disciplined. And the third time around that I took my tests, I actually made it, and it was really good. I actually passed without problems. And throughout a number of years, I thought this was an issue with me, and it just turned out that it was a really, really hard test. As a matter of fact, I did, to my surprise, this year, the university was cataloged as Japan's #1 university. So I'm very humble and honored of having my alma mater being Tohoku University. As I said, after a while, I moved back to the U.S., or I said I moved to this side of the planet, And I started working on research with other professors, and out of that research, we were able to capture funding for research, and also based on that funding, we were able to come up with a patent. All that again was great and fantastic, but after the funds ran out, we basically had to go. Well, I had to go into some sort of unemployment time, um, which was very hard because I was trying really hard to get into different sort of positions, but they were very competitive, and I was almost getting there, but not quite. And there's this is something that actually makes people not happy, but I wasn't happy, of course. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I certainly was not going to let this stop me. And so after a while, and finding my other ways to work and do things, I actually went to Costa Rica for a little bit and helped bootstrap a startup, and it was really good. I think we had a really good run for them with them, and this led me to one thing and another. Led me to talking to my friends that I met back um, in Japan in my lab, and during this time. We became very close together, and one of these friends actually moved to Sweden, and from Sweden moved to California because that's where his company was based on. And then he joined NASA, and he told me, hey, we're looking for a person with your profile. How about you come over and try for a set of interviews? And sure enough, I did, and now I can talk to you, about my experience here at NASA. And so what I've done is working on Astrobee, and I want to just give you a very brief video about what is Astrobee. So bear with me one second.
Flying more than 250 miles above Earth, the International Space Station is both a research lab and a stepping stone for future trips to the Moon and Mars. NASA is developing 3 Astrobee robots that will fly inside the space station alongside astronauts, opening research opportunities for guest scientists and saving astronaut time by doing routine tasks. The Astrobees will replace the spheres, the current robots, and most used ISS payload. Fully autonomous, each 1-foot cube is packed with sensors that open up new areas of research. The Astrobees provide a zero-G research facility for guest scientists, give ground controllers additional eyes on the spacecraft, monitor radiation and air quality that help keep astronauts safe, and can even find lost items. The built-in arm normally occupies the top bay, but can also be swapped for a guest scientist's own experimental hardware. Like a quadcopter, Astrobees fly in air, except there is no gravity on the ISS. As a result, they are not limited by lifting power. Larger payloads can attach in a tractor-trailer configuration, and multiple Astrobees can even work together. 2 centrifugal impellers drive air through 12 adjustable nozzles that work together, allowing the robot to instantly move in any direction and turn on any axis. The Astrobees will continue the Sphere's tradition of hosting the annual Zero Robotics competition, drawing together thousands of students from 18 countries who can watch their code fly on the space station. Launching in 2018, Astrobee is the next-generation robot meant to make life in space easier for astronauts and, at the same time, build a foundation for new scientific breakthroughs in autonomy and robotics.
So that's Astrobe. What we do is trying to make life better for astronauts and ourselves while working together with astronauts. Again, together we're better. And one can think that, okay, well, Andres has it all ready and good, so he should work on himself and whatnot. And what I think is it's important that when you are in a good place and when you can help others, you should. And that's the reason why back in 2017, I think it's been already 2 years or 18, I forgot. 18, I think. My boss was actually giving me a really huge boost of confidence and trust by letting me bring not one but three students from Costa Rica. And these students became the first three international Costa Rican students to do an internship at Ames Research Center. And they work really hard. And as part of their work, they are rewarded with having their names in each of the robots that are right now on board of the ISS, on board of the International Space Station. And thanks to their work, we have better robots and better functionalities for sure. We have better tools, and I think that we have put a little dot in uh, space development. They have been fantastic, and they were really exciting, and I find them inspirational to uh, for future generations and to myself as well. And with this, I just wanted to say that with everything perfect, we do not ask how it came to be. We rejoice instead. We rejoice in the present fact as though it came out of the ground by magic. This is something Nietzsche said, and it is quoted by Angela Duckworth in her book Grit. I think it's really remarkable how this is true, that once we think that everything's done and we are in a position where we're like really well positioned, we are really good in any way we can think about, we just see it right there, right now, and we don't remember, we don't stop for a second and think about all the pains and all the problems that we have to go through first to get where we are. And I think that is very important to that reflection. So now I just want to talk about a little bit of some challenges at work and life, really. How with teamwork, working together, we can make this better. And of course, even in the face of the pandemic that we're having now, we can still thrive. I want to, sometimes I just think about this and I think, okay, how do you even operate a robot that is, at 400 kilometers in altitude and it is spinning around inside of a huge research facility at 27,600 kilometers per hour? While you have not only that, but you have your teams all over the world, across all over the world. And now that you have a pandemic, they don't even see each other. How do you all do that, right? And with the space station, we have several different teams that have to work cohesively, constantly, in a very good manner and with very good communication. Um, Without that, we are not able to do it, right? We have to always be talking to each other, being able to communicate efficiently. And everyone has to do their part, otherwise the team falls apart. And one of the things that I really liked is how Chris Cassidy, in this video I'm going to show you, talks about how we perform this. How do we talk about the integration of different teams and how it is so challenging to not only put a robot in space and operate it, but also how to put all the people around it so that it can work properly. So let me just go and bring you to this video real quick. This is Chris Cassidy, NASA astronaut.
unique thing about this particular one on the right docking station, it goes in upside down. Went and got some snacks, some nuts and some hot chocolate. So the scientific team is in California, the payload control center is in Huntsville, and of course I'm here. So we've got 3 different locations, we're all working together.
Subscribe for more space.
So that's Chris Cassidy talking about Astrobe and how the different groups are here. But what he didn't tell you is that for our team, we always have deadlines and we always have problems. And that's why we are engineers, right? We are there for trying to solve all the problems we can possibly find, and we can possibly solve with different, absolutely out of the box ideas. And we use, for our particular problem we have is that we used to have only one language going on, which was English, right? But after we started a collaboration that we worked on very hard with JAXA, the Japanese Aerospace Agency, now we have Japanese. And this collaboration basically what it worked on was I had, based on my network of during my time in Japan, based on the network, I was looking at the news and I saw that JAXA sent up their first free flyer robot, basically a robot similar to that of Astrobe, which is called Impulse. And this Impulse robot was designed and built and implemented and tested all by some of my friends back in Japan. And so I reached out to them and said, hey, how about we work together? And so we started working together, and this one thing led to another, and we started to have a strong collaboration with them. And thanks to that, we have what is now called the JAXA kiba Robotic Program in Japan. And now we have not only English, but also Japanese. But now we also have time zones, not only here in the US, but also across the Pacific in Japan. And also not only our, I don't know, California culture, but we also have, you know, people from the East, people from Japan, and also because we are having a robotic competition for students that are going to be the first students in history to put their code on board of the ISS, and specifically on board of the Astrobees. We got very excited students, and we cannot let them down. And so on my case, I had to work on very hard on creating maps that the robot will use so that it will be able to autonomously navigate inside of the Japanese experimental module. And inside of that module, have allowed the students to use their code and run on the robot while navigating. And so I was in charge of not letting the robot get lost. And so now let me tell you a little bit more about this kiba Robotic Programming Challenge. Basically, the students were asked to do a set of or a code. Basically, what we would do in an Android package or an APK, which is essentially an application that you will run in your Android device. So by doing this, they were asked to go from one position to another, and in that first position, read a code, a QR code, decode that image, and obtain the the position of a target. Then go and move to another location and do the same, but in this time, read the code and obtain the orientation of the target, and then move on to the last target, the last position, and aim at a target and illuminate a laser and hit a bullseye whoever hit the bullseye is the winner. And so that was the programming challenge. So now let me just show you a short video about this. This is the actual video of the competition. Let me tell you, we were super excited because during this year we've been working so hard for months and months and months, and we wouldn't stop working on this, right? Until it was actually reliable. So here we go. Let me show you this here. So this is credits to Jackson, and that is in bold. So this is the simulation that Jackson created. So the students will test their code first. This is how they started.
Hi everyone, welcome to the first kiba robot programming challenge.
So let me see if I can put it up. So, so right now this is I just moved it forward a little bit so that I don't bore you with all the specifics, right? But basically what I wanted to show you here is that the robot has passed already the first two positions where it read the localization of the coordinates and orientation of this target right here. And what you're seeing here is Astrobee, Bumble, one of the Astrobees. This is Bumble. This one right here on the left at the dock station is Honey. And this one here is Jax's free flyer called Involve. So we have, for the first time, two completely heterogeneous robots collaborated with each other in the space station while students are handling them. So it's pretty magnificent. Here, as you can see, is the video seen by the camera on the robot, one of the cameras on Bumble. And what you're going to see is how the students from Indonesia, this is part of the students from Indonesia's code, is controlling the robot to move to a particular place. This is all in real time. Right?
Oh, the target is approaching.
Yes,
Great.
this is good, looks good.
That is Chris Cassidy over there in the background just following the robot.
Wow, Indonesia got a tough run going here.
So this is the camera of the Astrobee.
And soon you will see how the robot shoots its laser.
Laser eliminated.
Wow.
Where is the laser? Where? Oh, it's very near to the target.
And so the students were almost there to the target,
Here,
as
the
you can see
engineering
right
team
here.
down here, they're pretty excited to see this happen. This is really amazing.
Yeah, great.
That was impressive, I gotta say.
Oh, great.
Mission complete.
I hope you do realize that you're playing a big part in this. All these weeks of rescue.
These are some of
during
the
our
students from
minimal ops,
Indonesia
all
from the
data we've
Space
been
Cat team.
collecting. This is culminating.
And you can
right
see
now.
down below here
It's
some of
happening.
the students from other countries. And so it was really exciting to have that. And with this, I just want to say that there's always going to be issues and problems in front of us. But Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, invincibility depends on oneself, and the enemy's vulnerability on him. So we can only work our part. We can prepare ourselves the best we can, but there are always going to be issues that are going to come up. And whether they are easy to defeat or not, that is the problem of those challenges, not our problem. Our problem is to prepare the best we can. And that's what we try to do over again. Some final remarks I have for everyone. I think that one of the things that we have is nowadays and every day, I think that this has happened for years and years and years, not just now, but is that we spend tons and tons of time when we get just a little bit bored, we go immediately to grab our phones and see what's happening. If that picture got liked, or if that tweet got retweeted, or if this post on Facebook, get a like or whatever, right? We're constantly getting distracted by our phones, and so our attention span has diminished incredibly. And so even when we are, bored, we look for getting out of that boredness by getting small little doses of attention by looking at those rewards, which are okay. Somebody liking a picture, somebody commenting something. And the problem with that is that our brains change dramatically. And by changing, we are not going to be able to focus on things that are really important, like our families or our friends or our work. And this is actually very interesting because as Cal Newport on one of the, is a professor that I actually really like reading. He is, I started reading his book is called Big Work. And what he is basically advocating for is that we leave all sort of little things that will take us out of our focus, things that will take either could be reading the news or opening I don't know, a game or whatever it is, that we are taking it away from our focus work. Um, we should eliminate those, and we should really slowly but surely get to a state of deep focus, as we call it. And by doing that, we will be able to attain remarkable things. One of the examples that he puts out is that one author booked a ticket, a return ticket from somewhere in the US all the way to Japan and back. And he did this because he was not able to cope with a deadline he had to write a book. And so he went on to the flight, got off all distractions, no cell phones, no nothing, and he just went on inside of the airplane for 9 hours and 9 hours back to write a book. And on the first, and he was able to come up with a first draft on that book. And so he's just putting an example of all these things that you can do, with this level of focus. And so what he's saying is basically embrace boredom, because boredom brings up our creativity. And this is very true. I have a little kid, and when we let him be bored, we don't just give him all the toys. We just let him, do whatever he wants. And then when he gets bored, he actually looks for, creating his own toys or creating his own entertainment. And that's when he starts doing very interesting, fun stuff. And so, like the kitty here, be bored kitty should be bored. And like he says, don't take breaks from distraction. Instead, take breaks from focus. And with that, I just want to say thank you for your invitation. And together we're better, and let's keep pushing forward. And if you want to contact me, here's a link to my LinkedIn. Thank you very much, and I'm more than happy to entertain some conversation with you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Andres. Now we would like to take this opportunity to open the microphones to our audience in case, guys, you have any questions, or if you would like to make some comments about the presentation we just heard. The mic is yours. You can raise your hands or simply open your microphones and make your comment or ask your questions. Okay, I see Diana is raising her hand. Go ahead, Diana, you can ask your question.
Is it difficult to win a scholarship in Japan?
It is not easy, I can tell you. Costa Rica, back in my day, for Costa Rica, there are at least 3 slots that are given every year. So unless all of those are taken, there's pretty fierce competition for them. So I think it's hard. I don't think it's a real honor to be part of this select group, but yes, it's hard. There are different scholarships. There are scholarships for undergrads. There are scholarships for graduate students. And in my case, I got mine for graduate student. And as a matter of fact, I think it was number 2 of the selection team that year. But don't worry about that because I know that a couple of students tried that a couple of times, and after their second, third, or whatever time, they have actually managed to make it. And so you should keep trying.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you in Japan. It's lovely.
Thank you very much, Diana and Andres. Is there any other question? I see Lynn, you're just open your mic. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hello, Andres. Thank you very much for having this webinar with us. It's very fascinating. I just love all of this space exploration, and it's awesome. My question is, I got in on a little bit late because of connectivity here, but were you working at JPL?
I did work at JPL at a time, back in 2007. Yes.
And what were you doing? What were you doing at JPL?
So I worked at JPL in 2007. I did I do work on a platform called Athlete, and specifically, well, so I did a number of things.
I want to know.
Right. But one of the things that I was working on was working on Athlete. I just give some help on that. That is a conceptual robot that has multiple limbs, and it is intended to, or was intended to help as a new platform to go to Mars or any other solar systems. But the core of my work was focused on the electronics design of a system that would monitor volcanic activity, and specifically at the Kilauea volcano over in Hawaii. I had to, let me tell you, carry about, I don't know, 50 pounds over 4 or 6 hours of a hike from the base all the way up to the Kilauea, put it there, and then do a lot of things. It was great. Until my boss the next day told me that he was able to go on a helicopter and save the whole hike. But that's the perks of being the boss.
Yeah.
So right, but yeah. So those are the two things I did, and more recently I didn't work at JPL, but through my contracting company, we were able to work on a system that would help testing the Mars helicopter. And so what we did was a straightforward, simple mechanism that would allow the simulating the gravity over at Mars here on Earth. And JPL has this huge vacuum chamber where they can, test the atmospheric conditions, but they still needed some help with the gravity assist, as we call it. And so what we did was just a mechanism that will help them control the robot, so that the robot will perceive a particular set of a particular gravity instead, while still being here on Earth. So that's what we did.
Wow, sounds like it was a lot of fun.
It was, and especially because it was such a, like everything with JPL has to be super quick, super good, and super done in like no time, right? So we did it like in like 3 months or so. So it was pretty exciting.
Yeah. How long were you at JPL?
Back in 2007, I was there for a few months, maybe 6 months or so. No more than that.
Very cool. That's where I'm from. So
I love
JPL. Yeah, I'm from LA, and when I was at UCLA, we got to as I was working in the medical field at that time, public health, and we were looking at epidemiology, and then of course we were helping some of the challenges of, the astronauts' health for long-term, space exploration. And we just got invited, UCLA Med Center was invited to go to JPL. And we got to look at all of those challenges, and then what benefits can we learn from astronauts living in space? What benefits can we learn medically? And it was part of a teaching module that we had to do at UCLA because we were in coordination with JPL. So when I was at JPL, I was there for like a day and, for 17 hours. It was like, okay, I don't want to leave. That place is fascinating. Yeah,
it is really cool. It's a really cool place, actually. Yeah,
I'm glad you had that opportunity. That's cool.
Yeah, it was lots that I learned, and it was great. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ling. Thank you, Andres. We have another question. This is from Felipe Cordova. He wants to know, is it possible to make a NASA internship for graduate students?
Yes, it is. Not so much right now. So there are ways to do this for students, international students that are part of the international program. And to be part of this international program, every single partner in that program has to have a signed agreement with NASA. Unfortunately, Costa Rica is not part of that group. But there are still ways to go around it, and at least for AIMS, there are ways to go around it. And I presume that for every other center, there are going to be similar ways to go around it. And so the particular way to do this is to have somebody at the center finding an opportunity for an intern and assigning some funding for that intern, and then having a company or a contractor in this case that has a relationship already with that manager or that person in charge to bring in the student as an employee with a particular set of conditions, and that's how you can do it.
Okay, thank you very much, Andres. We have a comment from Laura Arguedas. She said, "Hi, I just want to say thank you for this webinar. It was really fascinating. I'm a preschool teacher and I love to keep learning about topics because my students are often really interested on this type of things." So thank you very much, Laura, for your comments. And we're very glad that this information is useful and meaningful for you and your students as well. We have another question from Mauricio Rodriguez. He asked, do you have any advice for people looking to go to graduate school?
Go. That's my advice. Go.
There you go.
Go to grad school.
As simple as that.
It's as simple as that. Once you have set your target, just go there, hit it out. I mean, if you have doubts on where or how or who or all of that, those are things that you'll face anyway. But once you make your decision, once you made up your mind, just head out that way and do it. For me, it was not easy. It was hard. It is still hard. I still want to do a number of things, and I mean, this is my path. This is the path that I really liked, and this is the path that I wanted to follow. But your path doesn't need to be like mine. Whatever your path is, whatever you want to do, that's what you want to do, not me. But all I'm trying to say here is that once you set up your mind for that, then do it, follow it, work hard. And if you don't get to go to that point, hey, at least you are going to be a better person and you're going to be happier about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a good piece of advice that you can use in any path, as you say, right, that you want to go through. Thank you, says Mauricio Rodriguez. So
absolutely, you're more than welcome.
Very good.
And now, if you're talking about, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, if you're asking about a specific advice in terms of going to grad school, well, there are a number of things that you have to do. So at least in the US, you have to do a certain set of tests, right? You have to go to your GRE, You have to go through, depending on what field you're going, you have to run some tests. You know, you have to take this and that test. So, you know, those are requirements that you have to go through. But again, like the quintessential point is to make up your mind and say, hey, I want to do this, and just go for it. So yeah, I will say when it comes down to, you know, go to grad school, email directly your professor that you're interested in. Don't just say, hey, I just want to go there. Make sure that you know why you want to go there, why you want to go with that specific professor, and let them know that you have read their work, read their papers, read their um, published work, and making for, you know, uh, not smart, but like Liz, show that you actually care about going there. Don't just go to get a title, go because you want to learn something.
Okay, very good. Thank you,
Yeah,
Andres.
also, you know, contact our Education USA at Centro Cultural and talk to Margaret Burke. She knows the details about how to apply at graduate school and every step of the way. Of course, do what Andres says, but at the same time, you need to figure out the international, how do I apply if you're an international student here in Costa Rica. So she has a lot of great information. So you might want to contact Margaret Burke. So mburke at centrocultural.cr. She can help you.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you're already doing right is being part of this webinar, and because this is telling you that you're already doing one of the first steps to speak the language. So there you go. Kudos for you.
Okay, thank you very much. You can read in our chat that Betsy just typed the email in case you want to know or if you want to ask further information about Education USA. You can contact us as educationalusa@centrocultural.cr, and you can ask Mo Burke. She is the advisor, and she can provide you with information that you request or asked for. Thank you both. That's really valuable, says Mauricio Rodriguez. Doña Lily, I noticed you opened your microphone. I don't know if you want to make some comments or ask some questions.
Well, good morning, everybody. And especially thank you, Andres. It is a pleasure to have you with us, and especially to have a Costa Rican share with us such an amazing experience in terms of professional development. My questions are basically, what drove you? What triggered this passion that you have for science, right? What really, when you were little, or was this as a teenager, what made you decide to go into this field?
I think it was, there was this magazine back in the old times in Costa Rica that was targeted to little kids, and it was giving us a lot of information about the universe, about dinosaurs, about, you know, science and things. And so you were very interested in seeing what was that whole world that you didn't know about, right? And then I remember standing with my dad, I don't know, when I was 8 or 9 or whatever, you know, the different planets of our solar system, talking about different things. About, like, I remember I was going in the car, and I would look at the odometer, and then he would say, hey, this is the speed. What is the time that it's going to take us to get to this place if we are going at this speed, and stuff like that. And so, you know, things like of that sort will put you not like, okay, I have to solve this because it's math. That's boring. No, it's more like, oh, this is a game. All right, let's do it as a challenge, right? And so it's all about the environment and your own interests, I think. And so for me was definitely that magazine and that series of magazine and reading about it. We had encyclopedias at home, and of course our parents were fundamental for this. They were always valuing education, and they never told me to, study this or that. As a matter of fact, me and my sister, uh, we both studied engineering, but we were never told to study this or that, right? She is very different from me. I think she's way smarter than me, as a matter of fact. She's the smart cookie of the house. And I'm just really stubborn. I really stick to my path, and I really like to, when I want to get something, I work hard for it. So that's how, that's how we did it. So I think it's a matter of the environment. I think that it was those magazines, those books, all of that, that really sparked that little, imagination in you, and definitely the support of your family. I think those are things that are very important for. Well, they were very important for me, so that I could get interested in this, on what I am interested in.
Well, thank you, Andres, for your answer. I think it's very valuable, and I have Laura Arguedas here, and I was reading her comment, and I think that, teachers and parents, if you bring all of these opportunities, right? As you said, nobody told you what to do, but at least they shared the world with you. They gave you materials to grab your interest, and I think that that is wonderful. And we truly thank you for your time, for spending this morning with us. Bruce, thank you so much for getting all of this ready. And to all of you that have been here, we want to give some special thanks to Laura, and I think the other one is Mauricio Rodriguez. And we also have
Felipe, Mauricio, Laura.
And Felipe, Mauricio, Laura, and Lynn. Yeah. Betsy has something special for you. She will be contacting you. We have a gift, and I will let Betsy tell you about it.
I just want to say that absolutely, education is one of the cornerstone of any society, I believe, and I think that teachers by far are one of the biggest heroes in any and every society. I think we should support them and give them a super huge clap of applause every single day, because they are fantastic. They are keeping us interested in all sort of different topics. Not all of us are interested in all of them, but it is very important that we are, introduced to all of them. And I think that they are huge, huge, huge heroes, and without them, we wouldn't know anything about anything. So, kudos to you too, Laura. Thank you, and I really appreciate your words.
Well, thank you, Andres. And yes, we also feel our teachers are our heroes. And I didn't mention Diana. Diana, you also ask a question. So Betsy, also include Diana in your list. And we would like for you to please complete a survey. Betsy just posted the link in the chat. Betsy, if you could do it again for us to have feedback on our sessions. Again, Andres, it's been a treat for us to have spent this morning with you. Thank you so much for your time, for your experience.
Thank you.
I do want to just say something that was very, very important in what you mentioned today. And you said you are stubborn, and I think stubborn might not be your persistent. And I think that perseverance is one of the most important things that we all need to work on. And sometimes I know you probably had challenges and not everything worked out well, but there you are. And I guess you stuck to it. So I think that's wonderful. Congratulations, Andres.
Thank you very much. I'll try to keep working hard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andres. Thank you very much, Doña Lili. And I just wanted to point out that we have a link, and it will be very important for us if you could share your ideas to help us improve these kind of events. Thank you, Andres, one more time. Thank you, Bruce. And thank you, everybody, for participating in such an inspiring and wonderful life experience. I think, Andres, as Doña Lili said, we find inspiration in stories such as the one that you have just shared with us. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for spending this time for us in the morning. It's Saturday, and it's really meaningful for us that you're sharing this time with us. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.